Funny thing about jealous people, they don't want your life. They just want to see it burn while pretending to feel sorry for you. They'll cheer when you bleed and act shocked when you heal. That's how twisted it gets. They call it karma, but really, it's projection. You didn't do anything to them, chosen one. You just existed better than their ego could handle. That's it. That's the crime. You were too calm, too sure, too untouchable. So they decided to make you a target. Not out loud, of course. Cowards never declare war directly. They do it in whispers, fake hugs, and side eyes that smell like envy. Now, imagine this for a second. Chosen one. You're walking into a room just being yourself, laughing, breathing, unbothered. And someone across the room clenches their jaw because your peace annoys their chaos. They start plotting your downfall like it's their life's purpose. They want to sacrifice your image, your name, your confidence, like breaking you would somehow fix their broken ego. But they didn't realize they were trying to destroy a storm while standing in the rain. You can't ruin someone who's already walked through hell and learned to love the fire. That's what they never got. You're not protected because of luck or fate. You're protected because you earned it through pain. You bled for that calmness. You fought for that silence. You burned bridges that were already on fire and learned to build new ones out of ashes. You are the product of everything they couldn't survive. That's why they envy you, because deep down they know they'd be dead if they went through what you smiled through. And thank you, chosen one, for still being here. You didn't let the poison turn you bitter. You didn't let the hate make you hollow. You stood tall when they wanted you buried. Don't forget to pay this message forward. Hit the like and subscribe, not for validation, but to help spread this message to more souls who need it. This mission is bigger than us now. You're not just watching this. You're part of a force. A quiet army of people who rise when others try to erase them. So thank you for standing tall with us, chosen one. Now let's get real. What they tried to do wasn't random. This was a calculated hit, a social assassination. They wanted to make you look crazy, emotional, unstable. They wanted to twist your truth until it looked like a lie. They studied you, your mannerisms, your tone, your words, then used them to mock you behind your back. That was their sacrifice. They wanted the crowd to laugh while you burned. But here's the irony. While they were busy talking about your downfall, you were busy building your next era. Every spell they cast with their tongue turned into your blessing. Every fake rumor gave you free publicity. Every person they turned against you eventually saw the truth, because you can't outlast authenticity. They tried to take you down spiritually, mentally, emotionally, and still failed. They don't understand that chosen ones don't die from betrayal. We evolve. Betrayal is just your final exam before elevation. And that's what's happening right now, the shift. You can feel it. Everything they did to stop you is now fueling you. Their gossip became your motivation. Their rejection became your redirection. Their humiliation ritual became your initiation into a higher level of self-mastery. You didn't lose, chosen one. You just learned how to play the game at a level they'll never reach. That's why they're scared now. They can't understand how you keep winning with less support, less help, less fake love. They can't process how someone who's been dragged through the dirt still walks like royalty. They tried to sacrifice you out of jealousy, but all they did was expose their own weakness. You were the test. They were the failure. And the best part? You didn't even have to fight back. You just kept being you. That's what kills them most, that their hate didn't change you, it revealed them. You're not the victim of their plan. You're the proof that divine revenge is silence, progress, and peace that can't be disturbed. They wanted to erase you from your own story. Now they're nothing more than a footnote in your rise. So let them watch, let them gossip, let them choke on your peace, because what they meant as sacrifice was really your coronation. You didn't just survive the attack, you became untouchable because of it. And listen closely, chosen one. If what you just heard hit home, that was just the warm-up. The storm hasn't even started yet. You're about to see exactly how deep this jealousy ran, how close they got to ruining you, and why it backfired so perfectly. This isn't just some motivational fluff. This is your blueprint for psychological revenge through transformation. So if you're ready to expose the snakes who tried to sacrifice you while smiling in your face, drop the number 99 in the comments right now. That's our code. That's how we know who's locked in. And if you feel this message feeding your strength, don't hesitate to back this mission with a super thanks. Your support doesn't just fuel this work. It proves that no weapon formed against a chosen one can prosper when the tribe stands together. And now, let's dive into it, piece by piece. You're not here by accident. You were meant to hear this. If you're really a chosen one, you won't just watch. You'll feel this in your bones. So sit back, breathe deep, and don't blink. The truth is coming for them. Let's begin. Number 1. They didn't hate you. They hated how much people love you without trying. They didn't want your spot. They just couldn't handle the fact you didn't beg for it. This is what keeps them up at night. The fact that you don't chase validation. The fact that people naturally gravitate toward you. That your silence holds more weight than their loudest performance. That your presence makes people lean in while they're still out here screaming for attention like unpaid background actors. You didn't do anything wrong. You just existed better than they did. And that alone made you a threat. See, being chosen comes with a price. The moment you walk into a room, you don't need to announce yourself. People feel you, that energy, calm, real, grounded. It makes noise without making a sound. And that's what destroyed them. You're everything they pretended to be. You're what they post about but can't live like. They studied confidence, read books on charisma, copied mannerisms, faked peace, bought fake status, and here you are, being you, and still eclipsing all of it without effort. That's the sacrifice, that's the hate, that's the silent war you didn't even ask for. Now some of you might be wondering, but why me? I don't even talk to them like that. That's exactly why. You didn't even try. And yet people still chose you. They chose your presence, your vibe, your mind. And nothing triggers an insecure soul faster than watching someone be loved effortlessly while they're out here selling their soul for scraps of attention. That's what made you their target, because you didn't audition for the spotlight. And somehow, you still became the main character. Ever heard of Keanu Reeves? Dude minds his business, stays humble, speaks with class, and yet there are entire blogs dedicated to how much people respect him. Not because he forced it, because he radiates it. That's the energy of the chosen one. Quiet thunder. And you're no different. You're walking proof that authenticity beats performance every single time. They hate how people choose to listen when you speak, how you could disappear and still be remembered, how you don't need to say much, but when you do, it lands. They mimic your look, your tone, your lifestyle, but it never hits. Why? Because you can't fake energy. You can steal words, steal outfits, steal followers, but the frequency, untouchable. And deep down, they know it. That's what keeps eating them alive. It's not your success that hurts them. It's the way people respect you before the success even arrives. You're not just loved, you're felt. You're not loud, you're undeniable. And no matter how much they gossip, manipulate, or twist stories, people still circle back to you because real always finds its way. Some of them even tried to warn others about you. They'd drop subtle hate, throw slick shade, paint you as arrogant or fake, but over time their lies started sounding like jealousy and your silence started sounding like truth. They said you were cold, but all you did was stop explaining yourself to people who were committed to misunderstanding you. They called it ego, but it was protection. Let's get even more real. They wanted to be loved like you, but weren't willing to be hated like you. See, chosen ones go through isolation, betrayal, character assassination, smear campaigns, and still don't fold. People love your glow now, but they weren't there when you had to heal in silence, when you had to hold back tears and pretend you were fine, when you had no one in your corner but still showed up strong. That's what gave you that gravity. That's what made your presence heavy, and that's what made them snap. Imagine watching someone go through hell and still shine, still stay kind, still stay silent, still win. That's the kind of thing that breaks a jealous soul in half, because it reminds them that they've had the same opportunities to grow, but they chose comfort over evolution. They chose attention over peace. They chose bitterness over healing. And now, watching you glow while they're stuck in the same patterns, that's psychological torture to them. Here's the thing. No one says out loud, some people don't want to heal. They want to be worshipped in their brokenness. They want sympathy, not transformation. But you outgrew the pain. You didn't make it your identity. You didn't sit in the victim seat. You stood up, faced the storm, and became something rare. Someone who loves without needing applause. Someone who speaks without needing validation. Someone who walks alone without feeling lost. You terrify them. Even when they tried to drag your name, tried to get people to look at you sideways, tried to suck the light out of you, you kept glowing, quietly, powerfully. And that glow isn't makeup. That glow is survival. That glow is proof that you walked through betrayal and still came out soft. That glow is the scarred soul of someone who doesn't need revenge, because your evolution is the revenge. Don't ever underestimate how much that rattles people who can only feel important when they're being praised. The world gave them fake followers. It gave you real impact. The world gave them attention. It gave you presence. And that presence is unteachable. That's why they talk behind your back, because they're too small to stand in front of you. Let them talk. Let them squirm. Let them try to play the victim in a war they started. You don't have to defend yourself. Your energy already did. You're not just being loved, you're being witnessed. People are watching you thrive without the need to compete, watching you move in silence, glow in isolation, and win without clout. That's not just intimidating, it's soul-crushing for people who never learned how to be loved without pretending. So next time someone tries to paint you as the villain in their jealousy-ridden story, remember this: people don't hate you because you're wrong. They hate you because you're real. They hate you because you don't need to scream for attention. You are the attention, and that's a threat they'll never be able to process. Keep walking like you own the ground, because they felt you before they saw you, and that's why they tried to erase you. Number 2, they tried to humiliate you publicly, but ended up exposing themselves. They really thought it would be funny, didn't they? They thought they'd get the crowd to laugh at you, point fingers and label you as the broken one, the crazy one, the joke. They planned the entire thing like a performance. And you were supposed to be the main event, the sacrifice. They wanted to stage your downfall and sell front-row seats to your embarrassment. But here's the twist that crushed them. You didn't play the role. You didn't beg. You didn't cry. You didn't explain. You just stood there, calm, composed, terrifyingly silent. And that silence, That's what ruined the show. Because real chosen ones don't defend themselves in chaos. They let the chaos destroy itself. And that's exactly what happened. The moment you refused to break, they did. The moment you kept your mouth shut, people started asking questions. Why are they so obsessed with tearing this person down? Why is this person always the target? Why are they always starting something, and why does the other person never respond? Suddenly, the spotlight shifted, from you to them. The villain got exposed by their own performance, and the audience, they didn't laugh. They watched, uncomfortably, because something about your silence hit harder than any comeback ever could. See, when someone goes out of their way to humiliate you publicly, they're not attacking you. They're screaming about how much you threaten them. That's not shade. That's a siren. That's a walking confession of insecurity. Your presence alone made them unravel. Your peace, your strength, your stillness. It cracked the mirror they've been pretending to love themselves in. And they couldn't take it. So they thought humiliation would humble you. But all it did was expose how weak they truly are. Let's break it down. Insecure people can't stand mystery. They hate not being able to figure you out. So they create stories. They twist your silence into arrogance. They twist your distance into bitterness. They twist your boundaries into attitude. And when people still love you anyway, that's when they snap. That's when the public attack begins. But what they didn't understand is this: humiliation only works on people who don't know who they are. And you? You're chosen. You've been through way worse. You've buried versions of yourself these people couldn't even survive being for 24 hours. Let's be real. There were moments it hurt. Moments you wanted to lash out, scream, call them out by name. But you didn't, because you knew the long game. You knew that responding would put you on their level. You knew that silence isn't weakness, it's control. You let them embarrass themselves while trying to embarrass you. That's a different kind of power. That's strategy. That's emotional warfare they never trained for. And let's address the voice in your head that might have asked, but what if they actually convinced people? Doesn't matter. Whoever turned on you because of gossip was never real to begin with. Let them go. Let them join the peanut gallery. That's not your circle. That's the crowd. Chosen ones don't need crowds. They build kingdoms, and kingdoms don't bow to rumors. Look at history. Public humiliation has always been used to break powerful people. Martin Luther King was arrested and slandered. Muhammad Ali was ridiculed for standing in his truth. Even Elon Musk was laughed at when he spoke about electric cars and space rockets. They were all mocked until they weren't, until they became too undeniable. That's the path of the chosen one. First, they ignore you. Then they laugh at you. Then they attack you. Then they watch you win, quietly, from the shadows, praying nobody remembers what they used to say about you. And here's the part that stings them the most. You never needed to clear your name because your growth cleared it for you. While they were still retweeting shade and whispering behind your back, you were leveling up. You were evolving. You were building peace so deep, not even betrayal could shake it. And now, they look bitter. They look obsessed. They look exactly like the problem they tried to paint you as. Your silence made them implode. Your lack of response became your weapon. While they tried to drag your name, you dragged your soul into healing. While they built alliances of hate, you built discipline, purpose, and clarity. That's why they lost. Not because you clapped back, but because you didn't need to. When you refuse to sink to their level, they drown in their own shallowness. You are proof that not all war needs a battlefield. Some wars are won in the mind, in the heart, in the way you don't let pain rewrite your character. They gave you a reason to lose yourself, and you turned it into a reason to sharpen yourself. You alchemized the attack, you flipped the narrative, and you never said a word. Power like that doesn't scream. It moves, quiet, cold, strategic. So let them tell their little stories. Let them drop their petty comments online. Let them mimic your moves and pretend they're unbothered. Deep down, they know they tried to humiliate someone who's built from pain. They couldn't even spell. They know you stood through a storm they created and came out dry. They know your silence isn't weakness. It's the calm of someone who already won. And maybe the worst part for them is that no matter what they said, no matter how hard they tried, people still feel you. They still respect you. They still trust you. Why? Because energy never lies. People can sense what's real. And no matter how loud your enemies bark, your energy will always walk in first. Let's finish this with the truth. They didn't break you. They exposed themselves trying. They wanted to ruin you in public. Instead, they gave you a public resurrection. You didn't just survive the smear campaign. You outgrew it. And now, while they're still stuck in bitterness and projection, you're building a life so powerful, their shade looks like a shadow trying to touch the sun. You didn't need revenge. You became the proof. The pain they used to mock you, that became your crown. The humiliation they tried to orchestrate, that became your spotlight. And now, every time they open their mouth to speak on your name, they choke on the taste of their own irrelevance. On to the next. Say the word. Let's burn the next chapter down. Number 3. You were never supposed to fit in. You were meant to trigger insecurities. They didn't hate you because you were wrong. They hated you because you refused to be like them. You didn't water yourself down to be liked. You didn't dumb yourself down to fit the room. You didn't fake smiles just to keep fake peace. And that's what made them mad. Not your flaws, not your mistakes, but your refusal to be less. You were never built to blend in. You were built to expose. Your existence alone makes people uncomfortable because you show them what they could have been if they didn't fold, if they didn't quit, if they didn't sell out. You didn't come into this world to make others feel safe in their stagnation. You came to shake up everything fake. That's why your presence hits so hard. You're not loud, but your silence screams. You don't try, but your energy dominates. And that's why people act weird around you. That awkward energy, that sudden shift in tone when you walk in. That's not in your head. That's resistance. That's their spirit reacting to your authenticity. Because deep down, they know you're living at a frequency they abandoned years ago. Let's answer the question that's been in your head. Why does it always feel like I'm too much for everyone? Because you are. You're too honest for liars, too focused for the distracted, too loyal for the opportunists, too deep for the shallow. You were made to stand out, to stand alone, and to stand for something, and that naturally draws out hate from those who stand for nothing. They see you and realize they've been faking peace, faking strength, faking purpose, and you just are. No act, no gimmick, no apology. That's why they tried to dim you. They thought if they isolated you, mocked you, gossiped about you, you'd shrink. You'd apologize for being yourself. You'd second-guess your instincts. But you didn't. You doubled down. You leaned deeper into your power. You didn't break. You became undeniable. And now their insecurities have nowhere to hide. Because every time they look at you, they don't see too much. They see everything they gave up on. So let them feel uncomfortable. Let them whisper. Let them twitch in your presence. That's confirmation. The universe didn't put you here to fit in. It put you here to wake the dead. You're the mirror they can't avoid, and the truth they can't silence. Keep shining. Keep triggering. You're right on track. Number 4, they stayed close just to study you and copy you. They weren't real. They weren't friends. They were spies, parasites in disguise. They sat next to you, smiled in your face, clapped for your wins, and studied every damn thing you did, how you speak, how you move, how you think. They weren't supporting you. They were watching you like a blueprint, screenshotting your glow and trying to build a fake version of it behind your back. And the craziest part? You felt it. You knew something was off. But because you had a good heart, you gave them the benefit of the doubt. And that's exactly what they preyed on. They weren't inspired by you. They were obsessed with you. Obsession looks a lot like loyalty at first, until you realize they never had your back. They just wanted to know how you kept standing. They didn't admire you. They envied your discipline, your mind, your resilience. You were never dealing with an enemy. You were dealing with a fan with a grudge, someone who wanted to be you but resented the fact that they weren't. So they stayed close. Close enough to copy, close enough to pretend, close enough to clone, and pray no one noticed the difference. But there's one thing they'll never be able to copy: your energy. You can wear someone's style, steal their words, mimic their rhythm, but you can't download their frequency. You can't replicate the lessons they earned through pain. And that's what drove them crazy. They had access to your world and still couldn't recreate the magic. It never hit the same. Because the glow you carry, it's not aesthetic, it's earned. It's built through betrayal, nights of silence, battles nobody saw. They wanted the crown without carrying the weight. You probably asked yourself, why would someone close to me do this? Because proximity breeds delusion in the wrong minds. The closer they got to you, the more they realized how far behind they were. That's why they mocked you in private while praising you in public. That's why they kept copying your work but couldn't keep the momentum. You were running on purpose. They were running on envy. And envy dies quick when it doesn't get the applause it craves. So let them keep watching. Let them keep copying. They'll always be 3 steps behind, trying to imitate a spirit they'll never understand. Because you're not just unique, you're chosen, and the universe doesn't make duplicates. Keep moving. Let the fake ones chase your shadow while you live in the light. Number 5, you don't perform pain, and that's what makes you dangerous. They were waiting for your breakdown. They were waiting for the Instagram story, the dramatic meltdown, the "I'm done" post, the crying, the oversharing, the emotional explosion that would let them say, "See, I knew they weren't okay." That was the plan. They needed your pain to be loud, messy, and public because they wanted to feed off it. They wanted to use it to validate their secret jealousy, but you didn't give them the show. You didn't perform. You didn't crumble on cue, and that's what made you lethal in their eyes. You bled in silence. You stitched your own wounds behind closed doors. While they watched your page like a hawk, waiting for signs of collapse, you were busy rebuilding, quiet, calm, ruthless. You weren't hiding your pain out of weakness. You were guarding it like gold, because you understand something they don't. Not everyone deserves access to your healing. Some people want to see your scars just to poke at them. Some people want to witness your vulnerability just to weaponize it later. But you went ghost and came back stronger. That's what messed them up. Because people like them need an audience to feel alive. They need sympathy, drama, and attention to survive. They cry for clout, suffer for views, and twist trauma into personality. You're the complete opposite. You don't broadcast pain. You process it. You don't explain your silence. You weaponize it. That contrast? It exposed the hollowness in their soul. You probably had nights where it felt like no one saw your pain. And the truth is, they didn't, because you didn't let them. You learned early that showing too much invites the wrong energy. So you stopped sharing with people who secretly celebrated your setbacks. You stopped performing grief for people who wanted to feel better about their own miserable lives. And that decision, that's what turned you into a threat, because now they don't know what phase you're in. They don't know if you're hurting, healing, or plotting your next move, and that silence drives them mad. Let them wonder, let them drown in their own questions. The truth is, your silence is power. Your pain, it was never a weapon for them, it became armor for you. And now, you walk different. You move like someone who's been through hell, came back with lessons, and refused to hand those lessons over to people who never deserved the story in the first place. You are dangerous because you survived, and you didn't make it a performance. You made it a transformation. Keep it that way. The universe sees you. Keep rising. Number 6. They tried to ruin your reputation, but you're uncancelable. They thought smearing your name would stop you. They thought if they whispered enough lies, twisted just enough stories, got a few people to believe the worst, it would ruin you, make people turn their backs, make you irrelevant. But that's the thing about chosen ones. You're not powered by public opinion. You're powered by truth. And truth doesn't flinch when lies get loud. They tried to cancel you, but how do you cancel someone who never needed permission to exist in the first place? You didn't climb here off clout. You didn't beg for platforms or fake alliances. You built this off scars, off silence, off real pain. You turned into power. That's why their attacks didn't land, because the people who rock with you feel you. They don't follow you for the image, they follow you for the energy. And that kind of loyalty, that's bulletproof. Let's be honest, at some point you wondered if they could actually destroy your reputation. You saw people switch up, go cold, act funny, and for a second it made you doubt yourself. But then something clicked. The people who fell off were never solid to begin with. The lies didn't break the bond. They just revealed who was never real in the first place. That's not a loss. That's a cleanse. Meanwhile, the truth just kept speaking for you. While they were busy telling stories, people were watching you move, watching how you carried yourself, watching how your character stayed steady. You didn't need to defend yourself. You didn't post long rants. You didn't chase validation. You let your actions burn their lies down, one silent move at a time. And that's what they couldn't fight. You didn't fight them at all. You let reality do the work. Because at the end of the day, your energy doesn't lie. You're too raw to be faked, too consistent to be questioned. You've been through too much to fold under gossip. They tried to throw dirt on your name, but forgot one thing. You were planted, not buried. And now you're growing louder than their lies ever could. So let them keep talking. The ones who were never for you are already gone. The real ones, they never left. And you're still here, still standing, still rising. Because chosen ones don't get cancelled, we get confirmed. Every attack just proves we're on target. Keep going. The universe is watching. Number 7. Your calm mind made their manipulation useless. They tried everything: guilt trips, gaslighting, passive-aggressive jabs, sudden cold shoulders, twisting your words, playing the victim, creating fake problems just to watch how you'd react. That's how manipulators operate. They don't throw punches. They play mind games. And they expected you to break, to crack, to chase, to start over-explaining yourself and begging for peace in a storm they created. But what did you do, chosen one? You did the one thing they can't handle. You stayed calm. You didn't take the bait. You didn't match their chaos. You didn't play therapist to their drama. You watched the circus, and instead of buying a ticket, you walked away from the damn tent. That's when they lost control. Because manipulators thrive off reaction. They feed off the energy of confusion and conflict. But when you gave them nothing, when you just blinked and carried on with your day, they felt powerless. And powerless people get desperate. You probably asked yourself at some point, why do they keep poking at me? Simple. They're trying to pull you into their emotional mess. They want to destabilize you, but they don't realize you've already mastered yourself. You've already been through the storm they're trying to fake. That calmness they hate, that's not apathy, that's power, that's experience. That's you knowing damn well that reacting would only give them what they want. You played it smart. You let them spin their web. You acted like you didn't see the trap. But deep down, you already knew every move they were about to make. You read their patterns like a book. You listened to what they didn't say louder than what they did. And when the time came, you cut them off with no warning, no explanation, no guilt. That's the part that shattered them the most. Not the silence, the clean exit, no closure, no goodbye, just done. See, people like them can only manipulate the emotionally reckless. But you got still. You paused. You sat with yourself. You let the storm pass without reacting, and they never recovered from that. Because when a chosen one stops feeding the chaos, the whole illusion breaks down. That's when the manipulator gets exposed, not by your words, but by your peace. So stay calm, chosen one. Keep your energy close. Your calm mind is a weapon they'll never know how to disarm. And the universe, it's watching you master the test like a damn pro. Keep playing it cold. You're untouchable now. Number 8. Your growth triggered their collapse. They thought they were winning. While you were healing, reflecting, building, and elevating, they were watching you from the shadows, sharpening their jealousy like a blade. Every move you made in silence, they stalked it. Every small win, they took it personal. And while you focused on peace, they focused on payback. That's the level of delusion they were on. They thought your growth was an insult to their existence, and that somehow cutting you down would make their misery feel smaller. But here's the hard truth they couldn't handle. You weren't the problem. You were just the mirror. While they were busy obsessing over your downfall, you were unlocking new levels of self-control, self-worth, and self-awareness. You stopped chasing, stopped explaining, stopped trying to prove anything to anyone. You detached. You evolved. And that quiet growth? It lit a fire under every insecurity they tried to ignore. Because when a chosen one grows, it shines a spotlight on everything someone else hasn't faced yet. Your transformation wasn't their inspiration. It was their undoing. And now, look at them. The same people who tried to sabotage you are sitting in the same cycle, with the same fake circle, living the same repetitive, drama-filled life, only now with the bitter taste of failure in their mouth. Why? Because everything they tried to steal from you, curse you with, or block you from, came back to them. That's not spiritual mystery. That's universal law. Karma isn't magic. It's math. You put out poison, you drink it. You plant envy, you harvest emptiness. You throw hate, you catch it back tenfold. That's how it works. Simple, clean, inevitable. You probably wondered, why are they still watching me if they hate me so much? Because deep down, they don't hate you. They hate the distance. The gap between who you are now and who they'll never become. You didn't rub your growth in their face. You were just growing, and that was enough to make their whole identity crack. They bet on your silence, meaning weakness. But really, it was your transformation cocoon. And by the time they realized they couldn't keep up, you were already unrecognizable. New mindset, new boundaries, new energy. And guess what? The universe is rewarding you in front of the same people who tried to bury you. That's not petty, that's alignment. So don't look back, don't explain, don't reach out. Let them sit in the space they created while you keep leveling up. Your elevation is divine. Their collapse, that's just the bill for everything they tried to charge you with. Keep rising, chosen one. You are the karma. Number 9. You were the only one who saw through them, and that's why you became the target. They had everyone fooled, the charm, the tears, the fake loyalty, the carefully curated image of someone who's just trying to help. They played victim and saint at the same time, and most people ate it up until you showed up. You didn't just see their face, you saw their mask. You clocked the manipulation early. You noticed the inconsistencies. You paid attention to the subtle jabs hidden behind compliments. And unlike everyone else, you didn't get hypnotized. You didn't fall for the act. And that's when it became personal. They realized you were the one person they couldn't control, couldn't gaslight, couldn't fool. You weren't blinded by fake apologies or performative empathy. You watched, you listened. And when they tried to study you, you were already 2 steps ahead, because chosen ones move by instinct, not ego. You pulled back, you got quiet, you stopped responding, and that's when the panic set in, because when you distanced yourself, their whole illusion started cracking, and once a manipulator feels exposed, they don't retreat, they attack. You became the target, not because you did something wrong, but because you were the only one strong enough to see everything that was wrong. You saw through the fog while everyone else clapped for the show. And that kind of awareness, that makes you dangerous to a fake person. You're a threat to the identity they spent years crafting. So they did what cowards do. They flipped the narrative. They tried to make you the villain, spread half-truths, played the poor, innocent soul, tried to convince others that you were acting different, switching up, cold-hearted. But all you were doing was waking up. You ever wonder, why am I always the one who sees it first? That's part of the assignment. Chosen ones carry vision that cuts through the surface. You're not just intuitive, you're spiritually armed. You feel lies in your gut. You sense agendas in energy. And while others need proof, you already know. Let them tell their story. Let them scramble to convince the crowd. Because deep down, they remember the moment you stopped falling for it. They remember the look in your eye that said, "I see you now." And that will haunt them longer than anything you could have said out loud. Stay sharp, chosen one. The universe gave you clarity not to hurt you, but to protect you. Let them expose themselves trying to take you down. You've already won the moment you saw the truth. Keep your peace. You're not the target because you're weak. You're the target because you're the threat. Number 10. They thought you'd break in private, but you thrived in silence. They wanted you to disappear. They wanted you to fall off the map and quietly rot in isolation. No status updates, no photos, no wins, just silence, the kind they thought meant defeat. That's what they were hoping for. They wanted your glow to dim behind closed doors. They pictured you crying alone, overthinking, questioning yourself, doubting your worth. They wanted to believe that without them, or without the noise, you'd collapse. But chosen one, instead of falling apart, you rebuilt. You didn't post about it. You didn't make an announcement. You just vanished into the shadows and turned into something deadlier. You used that silence as a laboratory. You studied yourself. You dissected your patterns. You rewired your mindset. While they were out there bragging about fake peace and flexing for attention, you were laying bricks, one by one, building a version of yourself they never saw coming. You ever wonder why they started acting nervous the moment you got quiet? Because manipulators can't handle not knowing where you stand. They rely on access. They feed off reaction. So when you stopped responding, stopped showing up, stopped playing the same emotional ping pong, they panicked. Your silence was supposed to be a funeral. Instead, it became your training arc. Now look at you, sharper, wiser, quieter. You walk with precision now. You speak with intention. You move like someone who has nothing to prove. And that's what terrifies them, because the version of you they tried to break, that version is gone. What's left now is a soul that doesn't just survive, it ascends. Let's get something clear. Thriving in silence isn't about being mysterious or sneaky. It's about choosing peace over attention, choosing purpose over performance. It's about understanding that your journey is too sacred to be consumed by people who only want to watch you fail. That's why the universe hid you. That's why things slowed down. It wasn't punishment, it was preparation. And now they're watching, confused, threatened, trying to figure out how someone they counted out is still here, unbothered, unshaken, unfazed. But they'll never get it, because they only know how to pretend. You became. Keep moving in silence, chosen one. Let your growth make the noise. They expected your silence to be your ending, but it became your most powerful beginning. Number 11. You're not mean, you're just done. Explaining yourself to people who pretend not to understand. They'll call you everything now. Cold, harsh, guarded, mean, emotionless. But that's not the truth. That's just the tantrum of people who lost access to your energy. The same ones who took your kindness for weakness now can't handle your boundaries. Because you used to explain everything. You used to soften your tone, over-clarify your feelings, justify your distance. You bent over backwards, trying to make people feel safe while you were bleeding internally. But now you've evolved past all that. You don't explain anymore. You exit. They don't like this version of you because it's no longer available for exploitation. They can't guilt-trip their way into your time. They can't play confused when they cross the line. You don't play nice with fake confusion anymore. You know they heard what you said the first time. They just didn't respect it. So now they're mad that you finally meant what you said. You stopped translating your soul to people who were never listening to understand, only to drain. You're not mean, chosen one. You're just clear now, clear on who deserves your softness, clear on who weaponized your emotions, clear on who clapped when you were vulnerable, only to turn around and gossip when you turned your back. You don't owe people explanations for the boundaries they forced you to build. You don't have to soften your tone for people who were stabbing you while smiling in your face. And let's get one thing straight. There's nothing wrong with being distant from what drains you. That's not cold. That's protection. That's intelligence. That's what survival looks like after you've given too many second chances to the wrong people. The version of you they want back, the over-giving, over-explaining, self-sacrificing version, died the moment you realized your peace is more important than being liked. Now they're out here calling you different, good. You are, because now you don't entertain confusion. You don't sit at tables where your worth has to be argued. You don't let people who play dumb get a front row seat to your evolution. You don't need to explain your growth. Let them sit in their assumptions while you rise in your power. You are the boundary now, and the universe is honoring that shift by removing everything and everyone that can't meet the new standard. Let it. You're not heartless. You're just done watering dead plants. Number 12. Their attacks only started when your success couldn't be denied. They were quiet when you were down, silent when you were overlooked, nowhere to be found when you were grinding in the dark. But the second you started winning, suddenly they found their voice. Suddenly you're a problem. Suddenly you're arrogant, fake, lucky. Understand this, chosen one. The hate didn't start when you failed. The hate started when failure was no longer an option for you. That's not random. That's the signal that your light is undeniable and your presence is disruptive to those who only feel big when you play small. They didn't attack you because you were weak. They attacked you because you were proving them wrong by existing. Everything they said you'd never be, you became. Everything they tried to block still broke through. Every door they slammed in your face, you kicked open. And the universe, it made sure they had a front row seat to watch it all unfold. That's not coincidence. That's poetic. That's divine justice showing up like, now clap, coward. See, as long as you were struggling, they tolerated you, not because they supported you, but because it made them feel better about their own stagnant lives. You struggling meant they didn't have to evolve. But the moment you started rising, you exposed everything in them that's been rotting quietly under the surface. You reminded them of the potential they wasted, the confidence they faked, the dream they gave up on. That's why they got loud. You probably asked yourself, why now? Why are they turning on me when I've done nothing but grow? The answer is simple. Your growth makes their stagnation impossible to ignore. Your wins remind them that the excuse train has stopped running, and they can't stand to see someone who went through hell, kept their integrity, healed in silence, and still came out on top. It burns them. It breaks them, because you weren't supposed to bounce back. You were supposed to stay broken, but you didn't. You rose, with receipts, with scars, with class. You didn't clap back, you clapped forward, and now they're choking on your consistency, scrambling for ways to spin your glow into something dark. But the truth? It's too late, because your energy tells the whole story. Your aura speaks louder than their gossip. Your elevation is now undeniable. Let them bark. Let them throw shade. Let them keep pretending your wins aren't real, because nothing they do matters anymore. You're already gone. You outgrew the room, outgrew their version of you, outgrew the limits they tried to place on your name. They can't touch what's been written in your spirit and what's coming next for you. They wouldn't even believe it if you told them. You didn't just survive the attacks. You became living proof that no amount of hate can cancel purpose. The universe never stopped believing in you. It just wanted to see if you would keep believing when no one else did. And you did. That's why you're winning. That's why they're bitter. And that's why you're not done yet. This is only the beginning, chosen one. Let your success keep making the noise, and let their envy keep proving your power, and that brings it full circle, chosen one. Every attack, every smear, every silent war, all of it failed. You're still here, stronger, smarter, and more focused than ever. They tried to erase you, but all they did was reveal themselves. And now your glow is untouchable because it was built in the dark. If this message hit your spirit, make sure to like, subscribe, and drop 777 in the comments so we know you're locked in with the tribe. Share this with someone who needs to hear it, because this light isn't just for you. It's for us.